I don't know about you, but TV shows are tough enough to make without having to deal with the colossal headache of replacing an actor mid-production, which at worst can threaten to derail a series entirely. Replacing an actor for one of many reasons, their quitting, firing, or sometimes even sadly their death, requires delicate consideration from those in charge to ensure that whoever's drafted in to take over fits the bill and, doesn't commit the ultimate TV sin of being bad. That bit where I do the ultimate TV sin of being bad, can we make the screen all black and white and do like a lightning strike and a slow zoom and just an echoey kind of dramatic thing? Well, in the following replacements cases though, they turned out to be not just acceptable, but pretty damn great overall. Sometimes even outdoing their predecessor in the process. I'm Ewan, you're watching What Culture, and here are the 10 best actor replacements on TV shows. Number 10. Jerry Stiller replaced John Randolph. Seinfeld. It's incredibly easy to forget that this replacement even happened. In Seinfeld, George Costanza's father Frank was introduced in the late season 4 episode The Handicap Spot, where he was portrayed by veteran character actor John Randolph. But when the decision was made to make Frank a regular character starting with season 5, it was also decided that Randolph's more restrained acting style wasn't quite the right fit for the show. And so, the part was recast with the great Jerry Stiller coming in to play a more larger-than-life, exaggerated version of the character. Randolph gives a totally solid performance in a single episode, but it's also tough to picture him delivering the more outlandish Frank performed by Stiller from that point onward. And this is a bit weird. Despite Randolph's tenure lasting just one episode, 2 years later his scenes in said episode were reshot with Stiller to ensure consistency during syndicated TV airings. Watching the two very different renditions of Frank side by side, which I actually recommend you do, is genuinely quite surreal. But it also shows what Stiller ended up bringing to the table. Randolph was a great actor for sure, but Stiller, he made the part his own. Number 9. Rose McGowan replaced Shannon Doherty. Charmed. Hit fantasy series Charmed faced a major challenge when one of its 3 leads, Shannon Doherty, decided to depart the show after its 3rd season due to an apparent overabundance of drama on the set. Like, a lot of drama. So much drama that someone should maybe consider making a dramatization of the series. Anyway, after toying with replacing Doherty with the likes of Soleil Moon Frye, Denise Richards, and Jennifer Love Hewitt, the decision was made to kill her character, Prue Halliwell, at the start of season 4. At this point, she was replaced with a long-lost younger half-sister character, Paige Matthews, played by Rose McGowan. On paper, it certainly seemed like anything but a smooth transition, and even accepting that the show was simply never as good as it was in its first 3 seasons, McGowan made for an impressively seamless casting replacement. A big part of the reason that Paige's introduction worked so well is that the showrunners didn't simply attempt to make her Prue 2.0, but instead developed her as a character with her own personality and agency. Furthermore, her arrival ended up reshuffling the dynamic between the 3 sisters, what with Piper now nudged into the older sister role. Plus, given how frosty the interplay between Doherty and screen sister Alyssa Milano was throughout the first 3 seasons, McGowan certainly helped to make things a little warmer and a little less, stabby. All in all, for a personal change that sounds laughably desperate on paper, it actually ended up working out fantastically well under the circumstances. Number 8. Jonathan Banks replaced Chevy Chase. Community. Chevy Chase was fired from cult sitcom Community during production of its 4th season after allegedly being awful to everyone, including a claim he used a racial slur on set, and upsetting the entire cast and crew in the process. Kind of tragic that's a story that could have come from literally any of Chase's projects since his SNL days, but here we are. All this led to Chase's character, Pierce Hawthorne, being revealed to have died early on in season 5 in a bizarre hydration incident. Said episode is one of Community's best, by the way, and features Walton Goggins as the executor of Pierce's estate, which is mostly just frozen jars of sperm. It was such an underrated season, but Pierce's replacement, Breaking Bad's Jonathan Banks, being brought aboard to portray serial criminology professor Buzz Hickey. And while Chase's contributions to the show can't and shouldn't be denied, Banks was an extremely capable and entertaining replacement, shaking up the established dynamic with his take-no-prisoners demeanor. However, his gruff exterior nevertheless belied a deep humanity percolating underneath, which led to some of Season 5's most touching moments. Banks was only on Community for just one season, before he was replaced himself by Keith David, but given the massive chasm that Chase's departure left, he filled it with relative ease. David was also a great replacement, giving us an all-timer Community moment with that man sure knows how to marry his cousin. Here, actually, Community fans, let me know your thoughts on Season 5 and 6 down in the comments. Do you agree with me that they're super underrated? I need validation, goddammit. Number 7. Bruce Greenwood replaced Frank Langella. The Fall of the House of Usher. Netflix's The Fall of the House of Usher is a unique case on this list because it's the only one where the replacement happened before the show even premiered. That's some high-tier pre-replacementing right there. Richard Nixon actor Frank Langella was originally cast to portray protagonist Roderick Usher, the aging patriarch of the Usher family and corrupt CEO of a massive pharmaceutical company. But midway through shooting, Langella was fired due to allegations of inappropriate conduct on set, at which point he was replaced with terrific character actor Bruce Greenwood, who you may recognize from J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies. He also voiced Batman. He's a pretty good Batman. And having watched the show, it's extremely difficult to picture Langella bringing quite the same loquacious charm to the table that Greenwood does, his gravelly vocal tenor bringing enormous amounts of pathos to so many of Usher's poetic monologues. And given that Usher is depicted as a charming man and plausible father to 6 young to middle-aged children, in pure numbers terms, the 67-year-old Greenwood also simply fit the bill better than the 85-year-old Langella. Number 6. Jeri Ryan replaced Jennifer Lien. Star Trek Voyager. Jennifer Lien portrayed telepathic alien Kez throughout the first 3 seasons of Star Trek Voyager. Yet she was promptly written out of the show early in Season 4 due to Lien suffering from unspecified personal issues which prevented her from performing. This resulted in a new lead woman character, former Borg drone 7 of 9 played by Jeri Ryan, being introduced at the start of the season, effectively serving as Kez's replacement. Now, at the time, many Voyager fans decried Kez's departure given the intriguing potential of her character, and initially felt that the tightly dressed 7 of 9 was catering to a horned-up fandom, which, I mean, Star Trek has always had that, but I digress. And to Voyager's credit, they worked hard to make Seven a nuanced and compelling character beyond just her obvious sex appeal. This, combined with Jeri Ryan's terrific performance in the role, allowed Seven to graduate into a fan-favorite character, arguably among the most iconic of the Next Generation era. Number 5. Liam McIntyre replaced Andy Whitfield. Spartacus. Starz' Spartacus series faced a devastating nightmare of a situation when lead actor Andy Whitfield was diagnosed with early-stage non-Hodgkin lymphoma following completion of the show's first season. While he recuperated, a prequel mini-series called Spartacus: Gods of the Arena went into production. Yet Whitfield's cancer ended up recurring, sadly leading to his death in 2011 at the young age of just 39. Rather than end the show, though, the network decided to recast Spartacus at Whitfield's own insistence, with Australian actor Liam McIntyre playing the part for the 2nd and 3rd seasons. Though there was understandably much upfront resistance to the recast due to Whitfield's acclaimed performance, McIntyre worked hard to win fans over, and by the time the show wrapped up, more felt that he'd claimed his place. More to the point, the showrunners evidently made the best of a horrible situation, continuing the ongoing story without invalidating Whitfield's sublime work in the role, and instead honoring it to their best ability. Number 4. Leamon Morris replaced Damon Wayans Jr. New Girl. The pilot episode for Fox's sitcom New Girl counted among its ensemble cast Damon Wayans Jr., who played one of Jess's roommates, Coach. However, when Fox decided to take the show to series, Wayans' other sitcom project, Happy Endings, had already been renewed for a 2nd season, and so Wayans made the decision not to return in a full-time capacity. Despite initial plans to recast Coach and reshoot the pilot, it was eventually decided to simply have Coach duck out in the very next episode, where it was also revealed that he was only subletting the apartment from the real roomie Winston, played by Leamon Morris. The transition was basically butter smooth, with Morris giving an uproariously funny performance as Winston, while quickly cementing his superior chemistry with the rest of the cast. But in something of a happy ending for everyone, oh god, that was bad, Wayans did return to play Coach as a series regular throughout the 3rd and 4th seasons once Happy Endings was cancelled, alongside other periodic appearances in the show. Ultimately, Coach was simply better suited to being a supporting character, while Winston truly felt like he belonged front and center for the long haul. Number 3. Robert Luellen replaced David Ross. Red Dwarf. When Red Dwarf's iconic service droid Kryten was first introduced in the legendary sitcom's 2nd series, he was originally intended to be a one-off character, as played by David Ross. But Kryten's popularity led creators Rob Grant and Doug Naylor to bring the character back as a mainstay member of the Red Dwarf crew in Series 3, and with scheduling conflicts preventing Ross's return, he was swapped out for Robert Luellen, and Kryten more or less felt like a totally different character in Llewellyn's hands. Less snippy, and instead more goofy and earnest, as made him such a brilliant contrast to the likes of Craig Charles' Lister and Chris Barry's Rimmer. And this isn't to disparage Ross's performance in this episode either. His work was perfect for that single outing, but long-term, it absolutely made sense to replace him with an actor whose personality better suited a Kryten who would be sticking around for the long haul. Ross's Red Dwarf tenure didn't quite end there though, as he also provided the voice for Talkie Toaster in the show's 4th and 12th seasons. Number 2. Rob Lowe and Adam Scott replaced Paul Schneider. Parks and Recreation. Parks and Recreation certainly suffered through rough patches in the early going, and one of the toughest aspects of the first 2 seasons in particular, how poorly the character of Mark Brendanowitz, Paul Schneider, gelled with the rest of the cast. Mark was placed in the show as the clear straight man to his more outlandish co-workers. But between Schneider's palpable lack of chemistry with both love interests in Leslie Knope and Ann Perkins, and the character's generally just dull presence, he didn't really work. Now, Schneider's proven himself a perfectly solid actor elsewhere, but he just wasn't working for this part. And so, for a variety of stated reasons, such as Schneider's film career blowing up, he and the show's creators mutually agreed on his exit at the end of Season 2. The 3rd season kicked off with Mark being replaced by not 1, but 2 new characters, Adam Scott's Ben Wyatt and Rob Lowe's Chris Traeger, each serving as a love interest for Leslie and Anne respectively. And yeah, where do we even begin here? Beyond Ben and Chris simply being more interesting characters from the outset, both actors had effortlessly superior chemistry with the wider ensemble cast. And without them, Parks and Rec likely wouldn't have enjoyed all the success it did. And number 1, Woody Harrelson replaced Nicholas Colasanto. Cheers. Cheers was forced to make a sad pivot when Nicholas Colasanto, who played fan-favorite bartender Coach Ernie Pantuzzo, passed away following production of the sitcom's 3rd season at the age of just 61. Rather than recast Coach, the show's creators had him die from unexplained causes within the series itself, and in the Season 4 premiere, his replacement was ushered in, Woody Boyd, played by a delightfully 80s Woody Harrelson. Woody was introduced as Coach's pen pal, as in they literally traded pens through the mail, and quickly filled the open bartender role. As contrived as it might seem in theory, Woody slotted quite effortlessly into the ensemble cast of Cheers, in large part due to Harrelson's infectiously charming performance. And while the two characters had some obvious similarities, Woody was also different enough to not feel like a mere young imitation. Even to this day, there's still no clear fan consensus on which is the superior character, which is perhaps the finest compliment you could give the creators for finding such a pitch-perfect substitute who didn't just erase Coach from memory. And there you have it, those were the 10 best actor replacements on TV shows. Or were they? If you feel like we missed anyone in particular and want to right that injustice, then please let us know down in the comments below and maybe we'll revisit the list and shout your suggestions out. Either way, thank you for watching, give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you fancy more. I've been Ewan, this is What Culture, and I'll hopefully catch you next time. Bye!